everyone, welcome back to another episode of Lighthouse. Lighthouse is our way of bringing God's light into your house. My name is Antonia Janji and I'll be your host for tonight's episode. So today our theme and topic for the day is service requires no effort, and I want you just to have a think about all the times in your life where you've thought, oh, I'm going to ring this person today, or I'm going to give money here today, or I'm just going to help someone today. Did you feel something afterwards when you did those acts of kindness? Did you think to yourself, oh, that makes me feel like a better person? Or did you genuinely do it because you wanted to help others? Today we have a speaker here, Bass. How are you doing, Bass? Thank you for joining us today.
Good, thanks.
And he'll be telling us a bit about service and, more importantly, that you can do the little things to represent service. So how are you doing today, Bass?
Yeah, I'm good. It's my first time in front of a camera,
Yeah.
so I don't know what I'm doing, but hopefully you can guide me through.
Yeah, don't worry, it'll be fine. Everyone will think you're perfect doing it.
Great.
Anyway, so I just wanted to get into the topic first of all and ask, what exactly is service?
Service is relieving the burden of somebody else, whether it's that's my opinion anyway, so whether it's a financial burden or whether it's a psychological burden or anything, whether it's a physical burden. So going out and serving somebody, putting yourself at the beck and call of somebody who's in need, and just offering yourself to help them to relieve some of their pain.
Yeah. So you were saying how everyone's really busy in their lives.
Yeah. We're all very, very busy people. I mean, everybody, and it's the nature of the 21st century. I mean, we've all got so much to do. So we have to sit back and ask ourselves, why is service important?
Yeah.
Look, to be blunt, why do I care about somebody else's burden? Why do I care if somebody has lost money or someone's in hospital? They've got their own people to look after them. I mean, why should I go out of my way?
Yeah.
So then you have to refer back and really ask yourself, why am I doing that? What did Christ actually say? So a guy came up to Christ, a lawyer, and he said to him, what must I do to inherit eternal life? And it said here he was trying to trap Christ. What must I do to inherit eternal life? And he said, you're a lawyer. By the way, lawyers back then weren't lawyers who were experts in family law or constitutional law or something like that. They were experts in the law of Moses and the Old Testament and so on. So he said, so what must I do to inherit eternal life? And he said, what's your reading of the law? And he summarized it in two sentences. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, strength and soul. That's number one. And love your neighbor as yourself. So Christ looked at him and he said, okay, you've said that quite well. Do that and you will live.
Yeah.
So he was telling him to love his neighbor as himself. If he does that, he will live. So the guy then, attempting to trap Jesus, said, okay, smarty, who is my neighbor?
Yeah.
So the first point is, why must I serve? Because Christ said that our service, our eternal life is tied to our service of other people.
Right.
It's tied to it. There's no avoiding it.
And that's not like you just go out and you give money to a homeless person you see on the street. That's like any act of service, like having nothing to do with money as well.
Well, perhaps it is. I mean, let's look at our busy lives that we were speaking about before. I mean, we're all really, really busy, but are we really? I mean, that's almost rhetorical. Are we really? How many hours a day? Apple released something on their phones called screen time. Right?
Oh yeah.
and if you actually went at the end of your day, you summarized your day by looking at your screen time, you'll be shocked.
Yes.
Because I spent 3 hours playing what game?
Yeah. Or scrolling on Instagram.
Facebook. Or looking at YouTube with cats falling off fridges.
Yeah.
I mean, and then we're so invested by this cat falling off a fridge that we send it to someone and we post it. Yeah. Why not put that useless time aside? Like YouTube is like the junk food we put in our bodies. YouTube, we put that in our brains. It's a junk food for our brains.
Rabbit holes.
Yeah, exactly. So why not? I'm not saying stop looking at YouTube. Why not take out 10% of your screen time on YouTube? Because at the end of the day, you'll see YouTube, 3 hours. Okay, make it 2 hours or 2.5 hours and take that half an hour and serve with it.
Yeah.
What do you do in that half an hour in terms of service? One thing you could do is go through your phone book on your phone and find people you haven't spoken to in a while and send them a hello. A love heart, hey, miss ya, been thinking of you, I hope you're well. Full stop.
Yeah.
I actually did that a couple of weeks ago, right? And I sent 20 messages. randomly.
To just random people?
No, they're not random. They're in my phone and they're friends of mine.
You ran to put in a random number.
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah, exactly. It's active service.
I ran into one of the girls, that I sent the message to at a wedding, and she said, "Thank you for sending the message. That made all the difference. I needed it." And I thought, did I send a message to her? Perhaps I did. I must have. Yeah. And what I didn't know is that she was going through stuff and she needed that.
Yeah.
Or why not? So that's one, send messages out and show people, especially in this COVID time and so on, and people are a bit anxious, show them that someone's thinking of them. And it's really, really important. Or find someone who's doing it tough financially and transfer some money to their account.
Yeah. You don't even need to tell people about it. Yeah, that's the other thing. So like, say for example, you do an act of service. Does the act of service get tainted if you go around and tell people, oh, hey, I gave my friend, like $100 the other day, or I rang so-and-so and said, how are you doing, just so that they could feel better?
Well,
what do you think about that?
I mean, that's not good. I mean, the place where that service is coming from isn't a good place.
Okay.
And also you run the risk practically of this person who you gave the money to hearing back that you're showing off that you gave them money, and you're making them look really bad in front of other people, that they're in need and they may be begging for money or they're greedy or something like that. It's better to keep silence, right? So service, the opportunity for service, this is why the theme is service takes no effort, because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Take out a bit of your screen time. How many of us binge on Netflix? And it's episode after episode. And then when you look at it, it's like filling your stomach with lollies. It's nutritional value.
Not really, no.
Well, nothing. Gives you a bit of a buzz, but it's nothing. So rather than watching 3 episodes in a day, watch 2 and give that other one to service.
Do you think, like, say for example, if someone says, okay, they watches this and they're like, I need to do more, I need to serve more, they should put in a time in their day to do a service act, or should it be something that's kind of just impulsive and spontaneous?
If my kids are watching this, they'll laugh, because routine is key.
Okay.
We are creatures of routine. I don't know if you've had a baby in the family somewhere, brother or sister or an aunt had a baby or something. Routine is key. And the baby needs to eat at a certain time and sleep at a certain time and wake up at a certain time. Otherwise, everything screws up.
Yeah.
And you know that if you're in a certain routine and you're waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock to go to work or go to uni or go to wherever, and then one night you stay up till 3 and you're still waking up at 7, it screws you up for 2 days, 2 or 3 days.
For sure.
Routine is key. It's good to block up a time of your day where you say, this is my prayer time, this is my service time, and force yourself during that time to find an act of service. Call that person, transfer some money, send something inspirational rather than a meme of something of a minion saying whatever.
A cat falling off a fridge.
A cat falling off a fridge. It's always funny, by the way, but is it useful?
No. But maybe, maybe that cat falling off the fridge, that funny thing, can make someone laugh who you know is feeling down. Is that an act of service?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Make the time to do that.
Yeah.
There are so many acts of service. If, for example, I mean, when you're walking down the street, say hello to people who walk past you. And I know that sounds weird. I mean, you gave me that look, the same look as my kids give me. Why do you say hello to everybody? Because people are lonely. And this hello could be the first word anybody said to that person in a month.
This is true. I agree with you. But also at the same time, sometimes when you do that, you get a bad reaction back, and possibly this can make you for the next time be like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. Do you think you should still keep doing it?
Suck it up.
Suck it up, okay.
So we get a bad reaction.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
You get 1 bad reaction, you get 3 nice reactions. You know, you go on a walk and you start talking to people and say, g'day, nice dog, great weather. And you'd be surprised at how many people stop and say, hey, it is nice weather.
Yeah.
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
You know, all that sort of stuff. It's really, really important. You're at church, for example. People walk past you. Hey, I've never seen that bag before. That's really cool. I love your hair.
Yeah.
Go out of your way to find ways of making people's life joyful.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. And I was going to say that it's easy for a start. It's easy. Like when we imagine service, we imagine a missionary going into, Afghanistan, risking their lives,
Big things.
waving their Bible around, and finally dying as a martyr.
Oh my God.
That's what we think of service is. So if I can't do that, I'm not doing anything. Rubbish.
Yeah,
There are so many smaller acts that we can do that are as powerful. Like when we continue with the story of the lawyer, when he said, "Do this and you will live if you love your neighbor," and then he said, "Who is my neighbor?" What do you think Jesus said? Jesus said, to the question of who is my neighbor, he went into a story, a parable about the Good Samaritan. He said a guy was walking down the road, he got mugged, he got beat up. And they left him half dead, naked on the road, bleeding. They took his money, they took his clothes, they took everything. And then a priest walked past, looked at him, kept walking. Another guy walked past, called him a deacon, but he's a Levite, looked at him, kept walking. And he said a Samaritan, who's the enemy of the Jews, walked by, and it said, and these are the most important words, he had compassion on him. Now, the Samaritan wasn't going out of his way to serve. He was going about his business. He saw a guy lying by the side of the road who needed help. 2 out of 3 people didn't help him, but he had compassion. And he helped him.
Actually on that point, like as Christians, it's for us, should serve everybody, but sometimes some Christians may find it hard to serve people who may not be a Christian. Do you think it's important to also put emphasis on serving other people who may not be a part of your own community?
Service, different types of services are made for different types of people. But we all have to serve in our own way. Some people are good at standing in a church and doing sermons to 1,000 people. Other people, 95% of us, shriek at public speaking, and we can't do it. So these guys have been given a gift. Other people are so good at talking to opposite religions that are completely different to us. Other people are good with people on the streets where they don't talk about Christ or anything like that, but they just hand out food. So find your calling, because we're all called to serve, and we have to find what our service actually is. And this guy walking down the street, I wonder how many times we've been faced with somebody in our path, like you're on the way to work on the train and you see a lady crying. That's the person on the road that's been beat up, and you're the Samaritan. Are you a good Samaritan, or are you going to just say, I don't know, maybe she's crazy, maybe she's on drugs, maybe her boyfriend's in the other carriage, he's going to beat me up. Think about this Samaritan, right? He picks up a Jew, puts him on his donkey or on his horse, walks beside the horse, it was like 20 Ks, and this is a Samaritan, the enemy of the Jews, taking a Jew that's beat up and bloody into Jerusalem. Where's the risk there?
Much risk.
Yes, they could have killed him. And he thought, this guy needs me, and I'm going to help him. So this lady on the train could be the person on that road to Jericho who's beat up, and there's your opportunity. She's crying, and to go up and say, are you okay?
So there's always a chance for us to do acts of service every day in our life.
It's everywhere, but you know what? We don't open our eyes. And there was another story in the Bible about not opening our eyes. There was a Lazarus and the rich man. There was a rich man, filthy rich. His table was filled with food always. It says he was dressed in purple, and purple is a really expensive colour of clothing to make back then. And Lazarus was at his gate begging for food. He was being licked by dogs. His wounds were being licked by dogs. It was awful. They both died. One went to heaven and one didn't, right? What did the guy do wrong, the rich guy? He didn't swear at him, he didn't kick him, he didn't call the cops to come and take him. He just didn't notice he was there.
He didn't help him.
No, he didn't notice.
Oh, at all? He didn't even notice?
He wasn't even there.
Oh, wow.
Ask ourselves, are we that person? If a person in front of us is in need, do we even see him?
So just before you mentioned prayer, I was just wondering, is prayer equally as important as service, or should they be equal? Should one be more than the other?
Yeah, whenever you go out to serve anybody, like when we spoke about even the simple act of sending out 20 text messages to people who you don't know may need it or may not, you haven't seen them in a while, you want them to know that you're thinking about them, perhaps it's good to pray and say, God, let this be your work and not mine. And if anything good comes out of this, help me not be proud.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, so like people who, because sometimes unfortunately, if you're a wealthy person or not even wealthy, you've just been raised in a family where, you don't serve often as maybe other people do, you can pray to God and ask him, like, please God, give me this gift of like trying to be service to everyone.
Or put in my path people that you want served. And then give me the courage to actually serve them. Because that lady crying on the train, it's not easy to walk up and say...
No, it's not. There's many risks that can come
and there's
from
a lot of risks, and she may take it badly. Why do you care? Who are you anyway? Leave me alone. Do you know my life? And you're risking, and the problem with putting in your mind that you want to serve her is all the doubts pop in straight away.
Yeah.
And there's a billion reasons to say no. Like that guy on the road, and he saw what looked like a Jew possibly. There was 1,000 reasons for him to avoid him. If the priest went around him, his own priest, why should I go anywhere near him? There's 1,000, but all you should think of is Christ told me to serve, and serve I must.
Yeah.
And God, give me the type of heart that's compassionate to everybody that you put in my path.
Yeah. And do you think sometimes, you know, if say for example, I work at a supermarket, right? And sometimes people don't even interact with you, you get treated badly yourself. Even if you are that person who doesn't get served, you still should serve people even though you feel you don't get that in your own life?
Yeah, that's a bit of an art also. The art is giving people an excuse. Okay. You don't know what people are going through. I was speaking to a friend of mine whose wife is at home all the time and she's anxious.
Right.
She won't go outside.
Is it even because of COVID?
Way before COVID. She's anxious and she won't go outside, right? And it's hard on him.
Yeah.
Because
he wants to go out.
Yeah, he wants to go out, and she's got this psychological issue, and she feels tense and anxious around people. The bizarre thing is during COVID, she felt normal.
Oh my God.
Because everyone's inside.
Yeah.
Now that COVID's lifting, she feels odd again. We don't know what people are facing.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I don't understand it. All I need to know is people are facing their own trials and we don't understand. Our job is just to serve. So if that guy comes into your supermarket and swears at you for counting one more mandarin than you should have, then give him an excuse. Because you have no idea what he's facing at home.
What he's going through, yeah.
And maybe if you were going through something similar, you'd swear a lot worse than him.
Yeah.
So just take it and smile and say, have a good day and move on. Because we actually don't know.
I know, yeah. That's very true. And also, like you said before, it's do the little things, right? Yeah. Sending a message, sending a call, or even just transferring someone some money. If maybe someone wants to do something on a big scale, do you think at the same time they should also focus on doing something on small scale every single day? Because you can't just always
that's
big.
building a heart of service. Once you start doing more and more and more and more and more of the little things, then you'll start building towards the big things. You can do big things by doing little things. Like, for example, you can pinpoint somebody who's a bit shy, a bit lonely, and then organize a group of their friends to visit them.
Yeah.
Or their next birthday, do a surprise birthday, and then talk to your girlfriends and say, hey, you want to organize something for her because you know why. Just because. And that's an act of service. We need to think outwardly, not like that rich man who would walk past his gate, didn't even see the beggar. Yeah, we shake our heads, but I'll tell you something. I've spent a lot of time going to India for work. And the first time I went to India, I was overwhelmed. The amount of poverty in India is...
It's shocking.
It's shocking. They say there's 700 million people in poverty. 700 million. There's 25 million in Australia.
Yeah.
So do the mathematics. It's huge. I was so shocked. But then, after my 10th trip to India, I didn't even notice.
Oh my gosh. Did you become like desensitized to it?
I just didn't notice. I didn't notice. You would stop at the traffic lights in a cab and a woman would come up with her naked baby and saying, I want to eat, right? And the first few times you'd reach into your pockets and you'd give them money and you'd start to weep and all this. Then after a few other times you'd hear the stories about this being a big criminal organization and you know, we've heard all the stories. So you start making the excuses and then you don't even notice the people living in the dirt under bridges. So you have to work at this. And you have to be like that Good Samaritan where you say, Lord, give me a compassionate heart because it's going stone cold
Yeah.
right now, and help me notice the need around me.
Yeah, it's not just something that comes in a day like that. You got to work at it. Well, thank you so much, Bas, for giving us this valuable information.
It's okay.
We hope you guys have learnt something interesting today. And just to keep in mind that service is not something that's a big scale thing. It can be things done on day-to-day basis, giving your friend a call, messaging your friend, transferring someone. So thank you again.
No problem.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Good night and have a good rest of the week. God bless you.